and welcome back to part 2 of BRANCHLINE, where I look at my experiences of starting a model railway and the things I've discovered I needed to know and the things I've discovered that I definitely didn't know, and some of the skills that I've had to try and develop, if you like. So in this one I want to look at the baseboard and some of the basic tools that I've found that I need to use to start the railway. When I was at school, I was about 14, I was in the woodworking class one afternoon trying to plane a piece of wood, and the plane was going off the side of the wood and making gouges in it, and complete mess really of the piece of wood I was planing. And suddenly the teacher came up behind me and put one hand on the front of my hand on the front of the plane, and his other hand on my other hand, and started planing the wood with me. Might be frowned on these days, but that's what he did. And in this ear he asked me where I'd come in the school exams, and I said I was third in my class, so which he knew was the top class in the school. And while he was still planing the wood with me, he said, "Well, you must be bloody good at something then." And I'm not sure if I've ever, proven him right or wrong really, but I knew I wasn't good at woodwork. So the idea that, I might have to make something out of wood, just to even start the model railway was a bit daunting. And the first thing that you really need out of wood is the baseboard. And that can be various sizes depending on how big your layout is, or if you're doing a small scenic diorama, then it might only need to be 1 meter long, a few feet long. And if you're doing something bigger, then it's obviously going to be bigger. So I decided that the baseboard I would want would be 8 foot by 4 foot. I can't do that in meters, but I'm sure you can work it out. So I thought, well, is it something that I could do? And there's a lot of information around. I even bought this book by Nigel Birkin, Model Railway Layout, Construction and Design Techniques. And you can tell just by going through these pages that this man is a skilled woodworker, carpenter. Just some of the tools he uses are quite scary and beyond me really. So I thought, well, maybe that's not something I'm going to be able to do. The Hornby Track Plans book, which did become very useful for me, and we'll go into that in another video, does have a nice page on baseboard construction. Again, I found some of the diagrams a little bit confusing. I'm not sure if, again, it's my own limitations in understanding these things, but couldn't really get my head around it. So I went to a chap called David Linfield in County Offaly, and I've put his link in the description below, and those of you in Ireland might want to have a look. And he makes these wonderful baseboards, and I'll show you mine shortly. So just to get back onto some of the tools, I mean, these are just some of the things I've bought since I decided to go into model railway making. Set of drill bits, wood drill bits for my drill. I only had one previously and it was a masonry bit, so I bought some wood drill bits, Bosch. More screwdriver heads than you can shake a stick at. I think there's 117 or something there, all different shapes and sizes. I've used about 4 of them. They're handy for unscrewing the bottom of locos, which I've actually done because I've installed a couple of decoders, and I'll come to that in another video. Wire clippers, or wire snippers if you like. I even bought soldering iron. Again, I'll show you how bad I am at that. And I've been doing some practice with the soldering iron. And this is a nice little handy thing. It's called a helping hand. I got this really for making some card kits, again, which we'll look at in a future video. But I've been practicing soldering on it. You know, I've actually got some wires to stick, but I'm not very good at it yet. So that's another skill. And there are a few other things that I decided I needed. In the next video I'll show you what this is and how I used it, and actually found this, which is very inexpensive, extremely useful. So it just shows you don't have to go to buy this wonderful kit necessarily to, to find something useful. So that's really good. So the baseboard, made by David Linfield in Offaly, came in 4 packages, 3 tops if you like, and the legs in another package. And here's a quick overview of how I put it together. It wasn't necessarily that difficult for one person to do because it was so well made, so well constructed, and I managed to get it together in about half an hour or so on my own, which I didn't think I would be able to do. And it's extremely heavy. Well, it's very heavy, and the thing about that is that it should be, because what I've discovered about baseboards is that they need to be firm, they need to be flat, and they need to be made of a good quality MDF or plywood. This is MDF, and I think it's 9mm, but not so thick that you can't drill through it, because at some point you'll be wiring it. In my case, somebody else might be wiring it, but the wiring needs to be done, and so it's got to be of good quality. The legs obviously have to be straight and solid, and these have got adjustable feet on them, so they sit very nicely on the floor. I didn't know why I needed a baseboard or what kind of baseboard I wanted, and now I wouldn't be without it. It's a wonderful piece of kit that's really helping me to bring the layout to life. And so if you are starting out and you think, well, I can put, the track in a circle on the table, of course you can. And when I first got my track, that's what I did, just to try out some of the locos on the table, but somehow it won't be satisfactory, well, I found. But one thing to bear in mind as well, it has to fit in the room where you're going to put it. Sounds silly, but you've got to leave space all the way around the baseboard, I found, because particularly if it's quite wide, then you need to get behind it as well to work on certain areas of the track. So don't think you can necessarily shove it up against the wall. And another little learning thing I discovered, obviously it has to be at the right height for you. I'm not a very tall person, 5'7.5" inches. Half's very important. And so you don't want it, so you can hardly see over the top or reach over the top. So all those things need to be considered when you're considering your baseboard. And if in doubt, go to the professionals. It's not cheating, I don't think, to consider that you might need help with some of the things. There's wiring to be done later on, I'm not a carpenter, I'm not an electrician, and so, you know, I'm going to need help with those things. But I'm going to try and do as much of this as I can myself and learn skills when I need to. Okay, I hope that was helpful, and I'll see you in part 3, where I will be looking at the track, how it was designed and how I laid it out. Bye for now.